there's so much going on right now. All right, good morning. It is Friday. Excited. Thank God Friday. Looking forward to what God has for us. Excited about the day and so much more. Again, it is Friday. The week is over. It has been a long week. Even though we had a 4-day week, it's been a long week. And I'm excited for Friday. Looking forward to tomorrow. But really excited for our church services on Sunday. Lord has really been just doing some amazing stuff in the church. And we are growing and questions and learning and answers and all of that. Don't forget, we've got our one of our last 3 Bible Nuggets classes tonight. We'll be finishing that up, and then we'll be headed into the holiday season. And so excited about that. Fall and Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of that, and then we'll start it back up next year. Generally we do about 12 weeks, and then we take 12 weeks off, and so excited. It's been a really good class. Looking forward to the last 3 classes. We've got tithing and offering tonight. Next week, question and answer, and then after that, our missions and missionaries, and then we go into our mission conference, and so looking forward to all of that. But today, I'm thankful for answered prayer. On Wednesday night, we had a really good prayer meeting. We never got into our Bible study. A lot of people there, and we heard about a lot of answered prayer, a lot of praises for what God was doing and all of that. But I'm thankful for answered prayer because it shows us God's hand in everything. It shows us God is always there. Talk about it all the time. God always hears our prayers. God always answers our prayers. Now, God doesn't always answer our prayers the way we want, but God answers our prayers in a way which is best. And so that's why I'm thankful for answered prayer, because it helps us to see God's hand. As we were listening to God answer on Wednesday night, we're listening to God's praises and how He had answered prayers. And the more we realize, the more we look at, the more we recognize God's answered prayer, the more we see God's hand in the unanswered prayer. And again, the reality is God always answers our prayers. He hears every prayer we say, every prayer we don't say, every prayer we hide away in our heart or that we're afraid to pray. God hears it all. God knows it all. And God answers it all. Now, God likes to hear us say it. Part of that is so that we recognize it. Part of that is so that the world around us recognizes God's hand in prayer. You have somebody at work that's having problems. Tell them you'll pray for them. Pray for them, but tell them you'll pray for them so that when the situation improves or when things change or when something happens, they come to you and God gets credit for it all. But I'm thankful for answered prayer because it helps us recognize God's hand in prayer. That God answers prayer. And when we recognize God answers prayer, when we see His hand, when He doesn't answer prayer, and again, I go back to what I said already, God always answers prayer. But when He doesn't answer prayer the way we want, it helps us to recognize His hand in the unanswered prayer. My son said it the other day, a long time ago. Unanswered prayer is God's protection. Answered prayer is God's provision. And so when we see God's protection, it helps us to understand. A young man in our church had been praying for a job opportunity, and the job opportunity fell through. Now, the job opportunity didn't necessarily fall through. There was 95 there was 95 applicants, 29 positions. He didn't get chosen, but he was told to apply next year, and has a very good chance next year. And what this does is allows him to stay in this area for at least another year. It allows him and his family to stay in church for another year, and him and his family very plugged into the church, very, very growing, very good Christian family in the church, and watching them excited about church, watching them in the church, watching them growing in the church is very encouraging to me and to other families in the church. And so it may not be what this young man wanted career-wise, but it's what we as a church, what I as a pastor, what they as a family need, I think. And so when we recognize God's hand in all of that, it becomes so much easier to accept God's unanswered prayer as much as His answered prayer, and see that it all really is God's answered prayer. And so this morning I'm thankful for God's answered prayer because it helps us to see God's unanswered prayers and what God has in that. And so this morning I encourage you, pray. Thank God for all that He does. Look for His hand in all of your prayer. Look for your prayer in all of His hands. And expect to see God moving because He always does. And then share that with those around you because it's so encouraging. Hope you'll have a great Friday. Looking forward to this weekend. Please pray for our church services tonight, our Bible study class tonight, and church services on Sunday. God really is working in the church and so excited. Got something special for next week too. Hope you'll have a great day. God bless.